Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. Some women want to be liked. Sigma women prefer to be understood, and even that's optional. There's a rare breed of woman who doesn't bend, doesn't beg, and definitely doesn't blend in. She's not cold. She's calibrated. She's not antisocial. She's anti-bullshit asterisk. And while the world's busy telling women to be nicer, softer, or more agreeable, she's out here silently rewriting the rules and deleting people like bad apps. According to recent psychological studies, only about 1% of personality types embody the core traits of the Sigma female archetype. Independent to the bone, allergic to social noise, and sharper than most people's coping mechanisms. And make no mistake, while society glorifies tolerance, Sigma females have made an art of the opposite. They don't just walk away, they evaporate from spaces that violate their standards. So today we're not talking about what she likes. We're talking about what she has absolutely zero time, energy, or soul space for. No sugar, no softness, no clichés. Just the raw, unfiltered reality of what you should never try with a Sigma female, unless you enjoy being quietly exiled and spiritually ignored. Oh, and if you think this is going to be another don't waste her time list, think again. This is the anti-cringe, elite-only personality detox you didn't know you needed. Number 1. Shame-policing women. There's a specific kind of woman that really rattles a Sigma female. And it's not the loud, bossy, or attention-seeking type. It's the one who polices other women for being too bold, too confident, too much. You know the type. The ones who whisper things like, "She's a bit full of herself," or "She's too intense." These women don't throw punches. They throw side eyes, backhanded compliments, and judgment disguised as concern. And to a Sigma female, this is the fastest way to get mentally blocked and spiritually discarded. Sigma females have no patience for women who secretly want them to dim their light so they can feel more comfortable in the room. They don't entertain the fake sisterhood that only works if everyone stays small, agreeable, and non-threatening. If you're threatened by a woman who speaks her mind, holds her ground, and doesn't need constant approval, a Sigma female won't soften to make you feel safer. She won't argue, explain, or prove anything, because her self-worth isn't up for negotiation. Not now, not ever. It's not that she's trying to be difficult. It's that she knows the price of being authentic, and she's already paid it. She's done the work to trust her own voice, and she refuses to be guilt-tripped into silence by someone else's insecurity. So when another woman tries to shame her for being too independent, too private, or not supportive enough, she doesn't flinch. She sees the real motive behind the critique, and it's rarely about unity. This kind of subtle sabotage disguised as advice, it doesn't move her. It only confirms she's in the right lane, the one most people aren't brave enough to walk. So when the shame policing starts, she won't lash out. She won't retaliate. She'll do something more powerful. She'll disappear from the conversation, from the dynamic, from the relationship entirely. Because if you need her to be less than who she is to feel okay about yourself, she's not the problem. You are, and she has zero tolerance for that. Number 2. Transactional friendships. Sigma females don't do fake close. If your idea of friendship is checking in only when you need something, offering support with strings attached, or measuring how much you give versus how much you get, you're already disqualified in her world. She doesn't keep a tally, but she notices patterns. And if your pattern smells like convenience, she's mentally walking you to the exit. She values connection, but not the performative kind. She doesn't want a friend who shows up only when it's socially beneficial, or when they're bored, or when they need to vent without ever being available in return. That kind of dynamic isn't friendship to her. It's a negotiation. And she doesn't negotiate her peace. A Sigma female isn't interested in one-sided energy exchanges disguised as companionship. She sees right through people who only check in after they've seen her win, who disappear during storms and reappear for the after-party. She's not bitter, she's just aware. And once she's aware that you're more invested in access than authenticity, you're out. Quietly, efficiently. No drama, no warning, no closure. She doesn't need you to do grand gestures. She doesn't expect you to be perfect. But she does expect you to show up as real, without calculating what you'll get in return. If she feels like she's in a friendship performance review, she's gone. And you won't even know you've been cut off until your texts start collecting dust. For a Sigma female, loyalty isn't proven by constant contact. It's shown in consistency, presence, and unspoken trust. If she senses your loyalty is only active when it's convenient, you'll never get close to her again. Not because she's petty, but because she's selective. And she has zero tolerance for friendships that feel like a business transaction in disguise. Number 3. Ego-fueled debates. A Sigma female thrives on depth. She enjoys intense, thought-provoking conversations that challenge perspectives and sharpen ideas. But the moment a discussion turns into a stage for someone's ego parade, she mentally shuts the door. She can spot it instantly when someone's not exchanging ideas but performing for dominance, validation, or applause. That's not dialogue to her. That's ego disguised as intellect, and she has zero patience for it. She's not here to be outsmarted, out-talked, or cornered into a verbal competition. If you're speaking just to win, raising your voice, interrupting, name-dropping, or overcomplicating basic ideas to sound smarter, you've already lost her respect. She doesn't see that as confidence. She sees it as insecurity dressed up in vocabulary. Real intelligence doesn't try to conquer the room, it listens, it evolves. It doesn't just talk, it connects. Sigma females aren't easily baited. They don't debate to win, they engage to learn. They want to explore, not dominate. The moment it becomes clear that someone is arguing just to feel superior or to prove a point they've already decided is right, she disengages. Not because she can't handle the heat, but because the fire is fake. It's all noise, no substance. And don't expect her to play along with that subtle intellectual one-upmanship either. The kind where someone asks a question not to hear her answer, but to trap her in a mental game. She won't get flustered. She won't retaliate. She'll simply detach. And when she's detached, it's done. There's no dramatic exit, just a silent acknowledgement that this isn't worth her mental energy. For the Sigma female, a real conversation is sacred. It's where ideas collide, evolve, and grow. But when it becomes a battlefield for insecure minds trying to wear the crown of right, she disappears into silence. Because she knows one simple truth. When someone's ego is in the driver's seat, the conversation isn't going anywhere worth following. Number 4. Romantic coercion via good guy syndrome. Sigma females see right through the so-called good guy act, especially when it's a mask for entitlement. These are the men who believe that being polite, helpful, or emotionally available earns them romantic access. They're not kind because it's who they are. They're kind because they're hoping for a return on investment. And when a Sigma female doesn't respond with the romance or affection they expected, their nice guy facade cracks fast. She's not moved by the, "I did everything right, so why don't you like me?" energy. Because from her perspective, if your kindness disappears the moment you don't get what you want, it was never real to begin with. It was a performance, a strategic niceness designed to manipulate her into feeling obligated. She doesn't reward emotional manipulation with emotional labor. She cuts it off. These men often paint themselves as victims. They'll say she's too picky or that girls always go for the wrong guys. But a Sigma female doesn't buy that narrative. She doesn't want performative decency. She wants presence, depth, clarity, and actual character. And she especially doesn't want to be guilt-tripped into affection just because someone showed basic respect, as if that's a rare gift she should feel lucky to receive. Romantic coercion in the form of, "but I'm a good guy," is insulting to her intelligence. She knows the difference between genuine emotional maturity and someone playing the role of the safe, patient man just long enough to gain access. She's seen it before. She knows the script. And she doesn't stick around for the third act, where the mask falls and the passive-aggressive resentment shows up. To a Sigma female, the most repelling energy isn't arrogance. It's entitled niceness, the kind that demands intimacy in exchange for decency. She doesn't fall for that, and she doesn't explain her boundaries. If your kindness has conditions, don't expect her to stay. Expect silence. Number 5. Chronically unaware people. A Sigma female has absolutely no patience for people who move through life with zero self-awareness. The ones who react, repeat, and run on autopilot like background characters in their own story. You know the type. They're always confused about why things go wrong, never take real accountability, and somehow manage to be shocked every time their own choices come back to bite them. She sees them for what they are, people who aren't awake to themselves, and she instantly disconnects. She's not here to be your emotional GPS. She's not offering therapy sessions disguised as friendships or relationships. If you don't know why you do what you do, if your behavior is a looping script of projection, denial, and blame, she won't try to decode it. She expects the people in her life to at least try to understand themselves. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to be aware. The moment she senses that you haven't even started that inner work, that you're coasting through life with zero reflection or growth, she mentally files you under, "not my responsibility." Because here's the brutal truth. She's fought too hard for her own awareness, too long in her own silence to waste energy dragging someone else out of theirs. Sigma females are highly intuitive. They read between words, catch micro-expressions, feel energy shifts. When someone is disconnected from themselves, they emit a kind of fog that suffocates the space around them. It's not just unattractive, it's exhausting. She won't sit in that fog with you, she'll leave you in it. You either evolve or you repeat. That's the line. And if you're stuck on loop, convinced life is happening to you instead of through you, she's not sticking around to explain why. She'll disappear, not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. She's not in the business of pulling people out of their own self-inflicted sleep. Wake up or stay behind. Number 6. Self-victimizing as a lifestyle. Everyone faces hardship. Life throws curveballs at all of us, but there's a difference between someone who's been through pain and someone who's made it their entire personality. Sigma females see that line clearly, and they walk away the moment someone crosses it. If you're constantly talking about how the world's out to get you, how nothing is ever your fault, how every failed friendship, job, or relationship was someone else's doing, she's already checked out. She's no stranger to suffering. She's had her share of battles, maybe more than most, but the difference is, she never used pain as a pass to avoid growth. She used it as a weapon to sharpen herself. So when she encounters people who are trapped in victim mode, not because of trauma, but because it's comfortable, familiar, or attention-grabbing, she has no interest in joining the pity party. Some people become addicted to their own misery. They milk sympathy. They recycle the same stories. They mistake emotional chaos for depth and self-sabotage for fate. Sigma females can spot that energy within minutes, and they don't fall for it, not because they're cold or heartless, but because they understand the damage of enabling it. She won't play therapist. She won't spend hours trying to drag someone out of a hole they've decorated and decided to live in. She believes healing is a personal responsibility. And while empathy matters, emotional manipulation dressed up as being vulnerable is something she sees right through. If someone refuses to take ownership of their patterns, refuses to change, and expects others to keep showing up just to listen to the same pain on loop, she's gone, quietly, completely. She doesn't resent them, but she knows they'll drown anyone who stays too close for too long. Sigma females don't want people who are perfect. They want people who are trying. But if all you're doing is clinging to your wounds like armor, blaming the world and calling it fate, you've already lost her interest and her presence. Number 7. Forced sisterhood. A Sigma female doesn't do connection by default. Just because you're both women, both in the same room, or both under the banner of sisterhood, doesn't mean she's automatically going to link arms with you. She's not rude about it. She's just uninterested in faking closeness where there's no real spark. Feminism, solidarity, and community all matter, but not at the expense of authenticity. If the vibe feels off, forced, or shallow, she won't pretend there's unity just to fit a narrative. She's not showing up to play social games. She's not performing female friendship for optics, Instagram captions, or fragile egos. If there's no intellectual depth, no real alignment of values or energy, she's out. Politely but completely. She's not going to co-sign your bad behavior just because you share the same gender. She won't fake loyalty to someone who gossips, manipulates, or competes in silence. To her, womanhood doesn't mean blind alliance. It means standing in truth, even when it's inconvenient. She's not cold. She's calibrated. She reads people quickly and deeply. And when she sees that the only thing holding a friendship together is gender, proximity, or social obligation, she starts disengaging. Not with drama, not with confrontation, just a slow, silent fade into distance. She doesn't burn bridges. She just stops showing up to build them with people who were never truly present in the first place. Sigma females value connection, but they're not desperate for it. They crave substance, not shared hashtags, alignment over identity. And when that's missing, they don't force the bond. They walk away with grace, clarity, and no need for approval. Because in her world, sisterhood isn't a default setting. It's an earned, intentional connection rooted in truth. And if it's not real, it's not welcome. Number 8. Performative femininity. A Sigma female refuses to contort herself into a version of femininity that makes others feel more comfortable. She's not interested in playing soft just to appease fragile egos or to fit into outdated molds of what a woman should be. If her strength intimidates you, that's not her cue to shrink. It's your cue to grow. She doesn't perform femininity as an act. She is feminine, but it's on her terms. Unfiltered, grounded, and fiercely independent. She's not going to lower her voice, sugarcoat her truth, or pretend she's helpless just to make herself more approachable. That whole script, smile more, be gentler, don't come off too assertive, it doesn't apply to her. She knows that the expectation for women to dilute their brilliance in order to be liked is just another form of control, and she's not playing that game. When someone suggests she's too much or too intense, what they're really revealing is their discomfort with a woman who owns her space fully. And she won't contort herself to soothe someone else's discomfort. She's not rude, she's just real. And if that's mistaken for coldness, arrogance, or defiance, so be it. She'd rather be misunderstood than misrepresented. Performative femininity asks women to be small in all the right ways, agreeable, aesthetically pleasing, emotionally convenient. Sigma females destroy that mold just by being themselves. Their presence alone is an act of rebellion. They're not against softness, but they reject the idea that softness is a requirement for being accepted. They know when to be gentle and when to be fierce, and no one gets to dictate which one shows up. At her core, a Sigma female doesn't just walk away from performative femininity. She exposes it for what it is, a tool of control. And instead of conforming, she stands tall, unmoved, and unapologetically whole. Number 9. People who worship hustle but have no vision. A Sigma female sees through the glorified hustle culture like no one else. She knows that being busy isn't the same as being productive, and grinding non-stop without a clear direction isn't ambition. It's chaos, wrapped in exhaustion. She's watched too many people wear their burnout like a badge of honor, constantly chasing tasks and notifications, but never moving toward anything meaningful. To her, that kind of frantic energy is not inspiring. It's a red flag. She doesn't waste time on people who mistake movement for progress. If you're grinding just to look important, posting every second of your hustle, or celebrating the number of hours clocked instead of the results earned, she's already tuned out. She values strategic moves, thoughtful planning, and purpose-driven action. Without vision, hustle is just noise, and she's allergic to noise. Sigma females don't need you to be a workaholic, but they do need you to have a compass. They want to see that your energy is going somewhere, that your effort is tied to a goal bigger than just stay busy. Because without that, it's just busy work, exhausting, empty, and ultimately meaningless. She's brutally honest with herself and expects the same from others. She won't applaud someone who's spinning their wheels or chasing distractions disguised as opportunities. She respects focus, intention, and clarity. If you're just burning fuel without knowing where your tank is headed, you won't get far with her. At the end of the day, hustle without vision is like running on a treadmill. Lots of effort, zero distance covered. And Sigma females? They don't stick around for the cardio sessions that go nowhere. Number 10. Passive aggression in polite wrapping. There's an art to passive aggression. The way it sneaks in wrapped in politeness, a fake smile masking a sharp dagger. That sarcastic tone, just subtle enough to make you question if you're overreacting. Sigma females have an uncanny ability to read through that thin veil. They don't need it spelled out. They feel the undercurrent immediately, like a sixth sense. And when they do, there's no second chance. No patient decoding or polite confrontation. They simply eject you from their mental space, fast and without fanfare. She doesn't waste energy on guessing games or emotional puzzles designed to destabilize her. That nice comment, loaded with insult. That backhanded compliment disguised as a joke. She hears it all, and it lands like a brick. But she doesn't argue or retaliate. She disengages. Because she knows that passive aggression is a form of control disguised as civility, and control attempts don't work on her. Instead of getting caught in the trap of responding to every veiled jab, a Sigma female opts for silence and distance. She understands that people who wield this weapon do it because they can't handle direct communication or genuine conflict. They're trying to manipulate the conversation while maintaining a facade of innocence. She refuses to play that game. Once she spots passive aggression, she treats it like toxic energy. It's not welcome in her presence. She ejects it quietly but decisively, removing the source before it can infect her mindset or peace. She doesn't need to explain why. No drama, no drawn-out fights, just a clean, sharp cut that leaves no room for manipulation. For a Sigma female, authenticity matters more than politeness. And passive aggression? It's just politeness in disguise. A disguise she rips off immediately and never puts back on. Number 11. Status-obsessed men. A Sigma female couldn't care less about the flashy toys you parade around, the expensive car, the designer labels, the endless social media followers, or the glittering resume you brandish like a trophy. To her, all that noise is just smoke and mirrors. She's not impressed by status signals because she understands one unshakable truth. Identity built on external validation is brittle and hollow. She's met countless men who think their value is tied to their possessions or their spotlight. They measure themselves by how many likes they get, how many people respect them, or how loudly they can broadcast their achievements. But to a Sigma female, that's the fastest way to become invisible. Why? Because it means you have no internal compass. You're looking outward for worth instead of inward. She values substance over showmanship. If your sense of self depends on what others think, you're not interesting. You're a performance. And she's allergic to performances. She's drawn to men who are quietly confident, grounded in their own values, and who don't need applause to feel worthy. Your car or your followers don't make you real to her. Your character does. Status-obsessed men often try to win her attention with material flexes or by name-dropping connections. She sees right through it. The moment she recognizes that your ego needs external props, she mentally checks out. Because real power, real presence, doesn't come from the outside. It comes from owning who you are, regardless of who's watching. So if your identity is a house of cards built on validation, don't expect a Sigma female to stick around and admire the view. She's here for authenticity, the kind that doesn't need an audience. And in her world, that's everything. Number 12. Mediocre energy. A Sigma female isn't drawn to surface-level pleasantries or the illusion of stability. You could be the nicest person in the room, polite to a fault, drama-free, and completely inoffensive. But if your energy is bland, unmotivated, or spiritually asleep, she won't feel a thing. Niceness isn't enough. Safety isn't enough. If there's no fire in your presence, no substance behind your words, no direction in your life, she simply won't connect with you, no matter how well you behave. She's not looking for perfection. She's drawn to intensity, purpose, and presence. She notices the subtleties that others miss, the heaviness of an unspoken dream, the hunger behind someone's goals, the clarity in someone's convictions. If your energy feels stuck in autopilot, if your passions are watered down, or if you've accepted just getting by as your life story, she won't judge you, but she won't engage either. She values vitality, not stability that's rooted in complacency. People often mistake her distance for arrogance, but the truth is simpler. She just doesn't fake chemistry. If a conversation feels hollow, if your life feels like it's stuck in neutral, if everything you say is recycled from social media or office small talk, she checks out internally. She's allergic to low-vibration interactions. You don't have to be loud, flashy, or intense, but you do need to feel alive. She's magnetized by people who are deeply awake to their own existence. A Sigma female isn't impressed by the person who follows every rule, makes zero waves, and keeps their life picture perfect, but spiritually empty. That's not peace. It's emotional sedation. And to her, that's the most repelling energy of all. So if your presence lacks substance, if your thoughts aren't your own, if your life is built on comfort zones instead of conviction, she'll smile, nod, and vanish from your life with the quiet grace of someone who refuses to waste her time on energy that can't match her frequency. In a world obsessed with superficial connections and easy labels, the Sigma female stands apart as a rare force of authenticity, depth, and unshakable self-respect. She's not interested in the noise, the facades, or the emotional games that so many accept as normal. What she demands, and rightly so, is realness, clarity, and integrity from the people she allows into her world. The zero-tolerance list we've explored isn't about being harsh or unkind. It's about fiercely protecting her inner universe from anything that dilutes her energy or wastes her time. She refuses to entertain transactional friendships where relationships are measured in favors owed rather than genuine connection. She walks away from ego-fueled debates disguised as intellectual challenges because those conversations lack the humility and openness she craves. Mediocre energy bores her because she thrives on passion and purpose, not polite monotony. Chronically unaware people who refuse to self-reflect find no place in her orbit. She won't drag anyone into consciousness. That's a personal journey everyone must undertake themselves. The Sigma female sees self-victimizing as a lifestyle for what it really is, a way to dodge responsibility and growth. She doesn't subscribe to forced sisterhood simply because of shared gender. Alignment and authenticity trump all social expectations. And when it comes to romantic coercion masked as good guy behavior, she calls it exactly what it is: manipulation, not kindness. She rejects status-obsessed men whose worth depends on external validation, recognizing true value as something deeper and self-rooted. Passive aggression wrapped in politeness. She decodes it instantly and ejects it without hesitation. Lastly, she despises hustle without vision, a frantic, directionless grind that leads nowhere but exhaustion. The common thread in all these zero-tolerance traits is the Sigma female's relentless commitment to her own truth and mental sovereignty. She guards her space with quiet strength, refusing to be pulled into drama, manipulation, or shallow dynamics. She's not out to please or perform. She's here to live authentically, unapologetically, and fiercely. If you want to understand a Sigma female, don't look for the clichés or easy labels. Look for someone who embodies independence of thought, emotional resilience, and a profound refusal to settle for anything less than genuine connection. She's a force to be reckoned with, not because she demands perfection, but because she demands realness. And that makes all the difference. If you found yourself nodding along, challenged, or even a little inspired by this deep dive into the uncompromising world of Sigma females, then don't just let it pass. Be part of the conversation. Hit that subscribe button to stay connected with more raw, authentic content that cuts through the noise. Smash the like if this resonated with you, because it helps us bring more truth straight to your screen. Got your own experiences or thoughts? Drop a comment below. Your voice matters, and this community thrives on real dialogue. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who refuses to settle for anything less than genuine, share this video. Let's keep building a space where authenticity rules and superficiality has no place. Your engagement isn't just a click, it's a movement. So join us, show up, and let's redefine what real connection looks like together.